Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Black Rose Society, a game of swashbuckling action, suspenseful intrigue, and probably more seasickness than we were really going for originally, all set in the world of 7th Sea. My name is Dan McCurdy. I will be your storyteller this evening, and I will allow my players to introduce themselves going around clockwise, starting with Alastriona.
Hi, I'm Abby. I am playing Alastriona Toran, the Inishmore soldier bodyguard woman's woman. Who knows? We don't know.
Hi, I go by Kingdom Online, also sometimes Chandler, depending on where/when you see me. I am playing Arnau Cecero today.
Hey everybody, I'm Ryan. I go by Darth Caustic on all handles where you can find things. And here at the 7th Sea table, I am playing Asgeir Ironhand, Viking sailing raider. And apparently the only person who did put dots in sailing in a nautical themed game.
Hello, everybody. I am at FarmGrown Nerd on most socials, but you can just call me Kelsey. And tonight I am playing Nikaletta von Richter, the slightly strange bookworm. Nothing else is wrong. It's fine.
Hey y'all, I am call me Bell Comedy on all handles, and I am playing Demetrius Penn, mercenary and all around stealer of virtues, but having fun. And yes, Asgeir is the only one who thought to put points in sailing. It's a pirate theme. Cool. I want to be a smooth talking fighter. Sailing? Don't think it will come up. So solid for you. Don't die.
We even put boats in the background, and
I know, right? It's like right there. Right there. That's been the logo the entire time.
It's almost like it's in the name of the game.
the 7th Sea?
It makes up half the title.
7th Sea? Hey, what does convince do? Oh, you can. Oh, yeah, putting points in that. Maybe empathy. Yeah, totally empathy. Let me add points there.
It's okay. We'll never learn the lesson. Previously on the Black Rose Society, having finished up some loose ends in business that was going on in Avalon, the party met Queen Elaine, also her one of her vassals, bodyguards, gods, the Obannon, king of Inishmore, also there. And they noticed that the discovery of these deep underground labyrinths that held odd portals to the other side of the 7th Sea. Whatever that means. Maybe it will come up. Who knows? Depending on whether or not boats are involved. They were interested in having the group surreptitiously, very cautiously, subtly, not drawing a whole lot of attention, to go around to visit other places where these labyrinths might be found and see if there were other places that might be threatened. For as they discovered, there was an undead infestation in the labyrinth surrounding that puzzle. And all they were told was it would be very bad if Hexenwork undead were to find their way into any of these portals. Not that any of our players know anything about that. No Hexenwork here at all. Nothing like that. Definitely not. No. The party then boarded the Castilian Princess, a ship that had been arranged by the Vendel League, in order to take the party towards Montaigne to look into some of the labyrinths to be found underneath the capital of that great nation. However, that night, as the party was attempting to get some sleep during a very rough crossing, suddenly they noticed that the crew had been killed and raised again as undead, that the party was forced to fight and put off. And they did that to some success. However, then Asgeir discovered that there was no one left to steer the ship. And as the one person with dots in sailing, ran forward and grabbed the wheel and is now trying to keep it on course. However, all around, there is only storm. There are only clouds. And though the undead no longer moan on the Castilian princess, they are very much alone in the dark at night on this ship. Asgeir.
Hi.
The mist of the sea is hitting you in the face, in the beard. how has Asgeir always thought of the sea? Like, it's part of the culture for sure, but was it for him something he did because everyone else was doing it? Where did he gain his interest enough to become at least somewhat learned in nautical things?
The sea is wild. It's untamed. Like on the land, man has conquered the land. We've put their animals into servitude to fit our needs. The sea is still wild, something to be challenged, and it presents this thing that yet hasn't been conquered. And for his people, that is something they cannot resist, is that calling to that.
Hmm. So you've always loved that wildness, that craziness of the chaos of the sea. You are standing on large rocks, looking out over a bay in your native country of Vestin. And a boat arrives. And you've been waiting for this boat. You go down to the docks after you see the sails and the flag flying, and coming forward, you crouch down onto one knee as a little girl, about 5 years old, runs off of it to come and see you and wrap you up in this gigantic hug as your daughter, Irsa, sees you after having traveled with her mother for some time, doing the various business that the Vendel League has called her to. And she's like, Papa, Papa!
He kind of like kneels down, my little bear.
And she just let everyone know what she looks like at 5.
Irsa, as a little 5-year-old, has this dirty brown, almost blonde hair, usually tied in some kind of braid slung over a shoulder. Very Nordic themed outfits. Usually has like a nice belt on to cinch the tunic, and always has like this little play sword that's completely wooden and hand carved that she carries around. Almost too big for her, but she got a bit of the like, I'm gonna carry it even if you tell me I can't. Takes after her mother. But she's got these bright, piercing green eyes and just is never clean. There's always dirt somewhere on her.
She runs to, wraps her arms around you, pulls out the sword, hits you with it. The two of you do a little bit of sword play after that, and then you whisk her off for her time with you. A year later, the same happens. Again, she comes back from this trip. Now, noticeably older, noticeably taller. The sword fits her better now than it did before. The braid is longer and seems almost to counterbalance her as she is starting to come into her balance in a way that a 5-year-old hasn't mentioned yet. This time, as she's looking you over, she's starting to talk about some of the business trades and different things that she learned while traveling with her mother on these deals, moving the money around and things like that. And as you see her becoming more and more like her mother in those ways and doing the dealing and the business side of the Vendel League, what are Asgeir's thoughts?
He's proud of her, but he's also gentle to remind her of her roots. Mm-hmm. And that no business stands without the hardworking backbone that we provide.
Mm-hmm. This time she's going to be with you for a while. Her mother is about to leave on another trip, and you have both decided it'll be good for her to have some time invest in Manavinyar. And so you take her to your farm and the various places where you work, and she travels with you, and she works hard, always wanting to make everyone proud, throws herself into everything, and just has this wild joy around her that just isn't present when she's gone. And it's 2 years that her mother is gone on that particular ranging. But then, as you knew it must, the time comes when it's time for her to go with her mother again, and she's excited now because it has been decided that she is old enough, at her mother and your permission, to play a role as page as these things are happening, to carry the paperwork, to bring the inkwells, to do the little things that someone needs to get paid for. It might as well be one of our kids, give folks a way in. But she does it carrying that pride and that energy that you know she has. Like, yes, she can bring the ink pen and look very pretty in her dress while people are doing the work, but she can also go and grab the pony keg that needs to be moved over there on the ship and do it as well, and has absolutely no fear of doing so. And then the day comes, you are standing on that rock. But the ship never comes. She is due to be coming back on a ship called the Stormcaller, she and her mother. But the day of its arrival comes and goes. No word. A week passes. Months. And finally, word comes that the Stormcaller was interdicted by pirates, likely south of Vidachi. And she won't be coming back. And you stand there on that rock, feeling the mist of the sea coming off and splashing into your face. Just staring out in the sea, waiting for the ship that's never going to come.
Imagine he's standing there almost completely just full of rage, kind of fiddling with this bear totem that he wears around his neck, like gripping it so hard that it almost cuts into his leathery hands and draws blood.
Suddenly a wave hits the rock so hard that the spray comes up and you almost stagger back in the face of that in the wind. And that is when you feel a hand on your arm. And suddenly you come back to. You are at the con of the Castilian princess and Alastriona. You had been going around to see if there's anything you can do to help. And you notice that Asgeir seems a little bit out of it. Like he's looking forward. He's clearly awake, but his eyes have this faraway look. And as you reach up to touch him on his arm, do you say anything?
Asgeir. Just very gentle.
Yeah, what's up? What do you need?
You looked a little lost in thought there for a second. You all right?
Just the far off stare, thinking about the sea and whoever keeps trying to kill us with undead.
Hey, it is a fine flight we got with the undead, it seems.
Yes. Not familiar with it myself, but they all fall just the same, eh?
I don't know if I'd say all just the same. It's a little harder to kill the dead for some reason.
That's what we have the von Richter for. She has her little baptism of not getting back up.
I'm sure that's the technical term for it, too.
You asked me about the forge and weaponry and steel. I am going to use all the words for your pretty little imagination. What she does, slightly more terrifying.
Oh, no, I agree with that. I couldn't fathom what it's actually called. You sure you're all right?
Yes, yeah, no, nothing to worry about. Long night. So plus, somebody's got to man the helm.
Hey.
Goes off a little bit.
It has been a long night. Been nearly 10 hours, Asgeir, since you first took the helm. And the sea, rough as it is, does not allow anyone to kind of set it in, auto mode where you just set the wheel. You need to constantly be adjusting the ship so that you're hitting the waves just right. Yes, narrator. He was not, in fact. All right. But that's okay. It's the narrator's fault. Meanwhile, everyone else, a ship requires more than just a steersman in order to run. There are nets, there are ropes, there are all sorts of things going on that, how many of you, certainly Arnau, who has been doing business with the League for quite some time, has at least had some experience sailing. How many of you have spent any amount of time really on boats in which you were paying attention to what was happening?
Always a passenger. Always a passenger.
Yep. The only dot of sailing belongs to Asgeir Ironhand. So, Asgeir, you are the only one who has any concept of what's going on. And so the first risk I need you to make is going to be your wits in sailing as you come up with what you need to be telling the rest of your crew to do.
Yeah.
Yes, Asgeir. Let us know where
Oh,
to go.
Good thing we get that bonus for the first roll, huh?
And I'm just gonna throw my what was it?
Give him a hero point. So that he adds 3.
Please. I don't want to die. Get started.
So add 3 in addition to your flair.
Add 3 more, huh? Okay. So that turns it into 4.
4 raises. Okay. You are able to come up with rolls for each of them. How well they're going to be able to do those rolls is going to be entirely up to them, but at least none of them is going to just be entirely quaking in the wind.
I imagine there's a lot of grab the so-and-so, and they give me a dead blank. So they're like, the rope over there, tied to the
Move
big tall
the thing and that other thing. All right. So manning, first up, you need someone up with the sails, making sure that they stay on correctly. So you need someone who's going to be agile and nimble up there, maybe good with tying ropes.
That's Demetrius. Full stop.
What?
It's Demetrius.
Demetrius?
Ropes. Like, I know he's tied up at least a couple,
That's right.
virtuous people.
Here's the thing. Of course, I've also been tied up, but
See? And he's escaped out many a window. He's very agile.
I have jumped out of many windows. One may say I may out of a 5 be a 1 in my skill in athletics. So if anyone can beat that,
His second pick would be Alastriona.
All right. So Alastriona, give me, so that you are just going up, give me your brawn and athletics roll as you are figuring out the ropes and trying to keep the sails from getting tangled in themselves.
All right.
You are looking at a risk of 3 wounds because you've got ropes whipping around and you're pretty high up. So
It's fine. It's fine. I'm sure.
you're doing great.
And that is 3.
3. Okay. So you are able to get up into the rigging and keep the ropes from getting tangled and to keep the sails. However, at one point as you're doing this, you didn't quite fix one of the ropes down properly and it suddenly snaps loose and you take a rope across the face. It hurts, but it's not a dramatic wound, 1 minor wound as you are managing the. You also need someone down below trying to keep the ballast in one place. There are cannons and there's all sorts of little checks and stuff you need to do, but it isn't also just a matter of keeping it there. If the ship starts tilting, you got to make sure you can get stuff over because Asgeir is doing what he can, but this is a sea and storm. And so you need someone to help manage the ballast down below. This is going to require a fair amount of strength and quick wit.
Yeah, no, that might actually strike him as a Demetrius thing.
Okay.
You're muted.
Muted.
Yes, I'm known to be witty in occasions, and I do know my way about weaponry. And yes, of course, Demetrius Penn can absolutely handle this.
Demetrius, brawn and weaponry as you are managing the cannon and other such things down below.
Take a hero point.
Nikaletta, I do not want to be exploded, von Richter.
Nikaletta down below going, Vit, are you sure you put the foot there?
I will happily take those hero points.
Nikaletta, Bishop of the Undead, von Richter.
Shoosh, you don't know that.
Though they're starting to have clues.
Shoosh, I didn't ask for your logic.
That was only based on gameplay logic.
Alrighty, 1, 2, 3, 4.
4. You manage to avoid any wounds at all as you go about securing the various cannon. Occasionally, the ship starts getting off balance, and so you will unlock one of the cannons and move it to the other side to kind of counterbalance. You do able work down below, and you're starting to figure out how this whole thing works. All right, next up, you need someone to be looking at the charts and to try to come up with some idea of where precisely in the ocean you might be. This is going to be a lot of guesswork, so you're going to need someone looking at the charts and figuring things out to give you as clear a vision as you can.
That would actually sound like an Arnau kind of. He's really good at deciphering and guessing and making heads or tails of things that Asgeir usually has no idea what he's looking at.
All right. Arnau, this is going to be a wits and scholarship from you.
I am quite good at, finding and understanding things, so I can be quite good at that. So hopefully I will send us someplace that isn't completely off the side of the world. You know what?
The risk here is actually 3 wounds to the ship.
Would you call this an important role?
Yeah, this is a kind of important role.
I can activate my unfortunate to get 2 hero points.
I already gave mine away.
I'll give you one. I'll give you one.
Oh no, that's me choosing to fail the roll to get 2 hero points.
Oh,
so you're choosing to fail?
I'm choosing to fail.
Arnau does
Arnau.
job. He keeps the ship. He keeps going like, okay, no, now we need to turn, I believe, 15 degrees northwest, which is that way, and the ship just gets buffeted. The Castilian princess takes 3 minor wounds to its body as the rough handling keeps going. And finally,
Arnau.
someone needs to spot Safe Harbor and to make contacts. And so that means someone is climbing up into the crow's nest and seeing what they can see. And the only one left is Nikaletta.
Oh, this is going to be funny. This is going to be really funny.
Oh
What
no!
am I rolling?
So you are up in the crow's nest. Your main job is going to be wits and notice. As you are paying attention to things. The 3 risks here are particularly, because of the buffeting that the ship is taking, there are 4 risks of you taking damage up in the crow's nest because the ship is really flinging you around while you're trying to spot whatever you can spot. So 4 risks.
I'll give Nikaletta a hero point.
You've been given a hero point, Nikaletta. You get 3 more dice.
Righteous. Counting. 18.
The look of fear had me concerned. I was like,
I'm really glad you did that. Please roll at least 1 7. Just 1. Son of a bitch. 1.
1 raise.
I
All right.
rolled 1s and 2s.
Ooh.
Wow. Okay, so
Ooh.
Nikaletta, you do manage to spot what you believe to be land through the storm. However, you are not having a pleasant ride. The crow's nest, you are on a pendulum and you are being hurled all over the place. You don't fall out, but you do keep getting slammed into the mast, into the sides, and that is 4 minor wounds that you take.
Come back down with a black eye.
So, and finally, Nikaletta spots land. And Asgeir, it's your job to get him there.
oh boy. Okay, here we go.
This is going to be finesse and sailing.
Okay. That counts as a new thing.
Mm-hmm. Actually, no.
Okay.
Because you're fighting the ship so much, I'm going to let you, if you want it, take brawn and sailing.
Honestly, same
difference?
score.
All right.
It'd be a real shame if you fucked up the role that none of us can do.
Man,
It would be awful. How terrible would that be?
Take
What a
hero
terrible
point.
time we'd have.
Take one of my
Um,
hero points.
all
You've been
right,
given a hero point.
I'll take it. Ooh, we like that. Let's work this math around a little bit more. That is 4 total.
4 total. The
It
ship
was only
takes
going to be 2, but
a bit more buffeting. But you are able to bring it in. The Castilian princess has now taken its first dramatic wound as the ship is coming in towards this land that has been spotted, and you're keeping it on, but you just did not see that rock jutting out of the water, and there's a hit and a bad grinding noise on the port side. Nikaletta, I'm going to need you to make a resolve and athletics.
Oh, joy. One raise.
One raise. You don't fall out of the crow's nest. You do take 2 minor wounds, which I
got a
believe
major
gets you to do a dramatic.
Yes, it does. I get a dramatic wound off of that.
All right.
I come out
So
with another black eye and a bloody nose.
at that hit, Nikaletta actually spills out of the crow's nest for a second, but manages with the last grab out of her hand to grab some of the rope and goes down a fair distance on it. Her hands are not feeling great right now.
No.
But Nikaletta, you have your first dramatic wound and are able to limp your way down the rest of the way to the deck as the Castilian princess makes its way in towards the island. And as you get closer, Asgeir, you manage to steer the ship so that the island comes between you and the worst gusts of the wind. And so slowly the sea starts to calm down and the ship starts to pass a little more evenly. And you see a little cove that you can bring the ship into, drop anchor, and then wait out the storm at the very least to try to figure out where you are.
Yeah, absolutely. We take it in nice, get it to calm waters. Like, all right, drop the anchor. The big metal chain looking thing.
I know what that is. I'm gonna go drop the anchor.
Arnau being so helpful now as he
He's the bestest helper.
ching. Wait, was I supposed to attach it to our ship before I dropped it into the? No. So the anchor goes down. The anchor catches, and finally, the ship comes to a stop in a little cove. Not very shielded from the elements, but certainly better than being out in the open sea. Still somewhat buffeted by waves, but not nearly as awful as it had previously been. And for the first time in probably about 10, 12 hours since you all first realized that the ship was overrun with undead, you all are able to actually relax and take stock of what is happening.
Okay. Who's not dead?
I don't like boats.
Demetrius is immediately fussing over Nikaletta. Just like, oh, my dear, who did this to you?
I had an argument with a mast.
Ooh.
Luckily, the salt water feels great in the abrasions.
I've been on a boat. No.
Oh,
No.
as a coastal person my whole life, like, oh.
Do we want to do anything with the bodies?
At some point at some point through all of this, Nikaletta would have gone to each individual body down below, and whoever happened to be down there, or if anybody did, you'd have heard her apologizing to each and every one of them as she would close her eyes and do a small anointing over their forehead.
Was she harvesting at all while doing this?
No,
Okay.
I still have parts.
Okay. I got bits. We're good.
I get bits. We're good.
So yeah, most of all of the crew, except for you all, is dead. There is no sign of the captain, or really any of the officers.
Must have fell overboard.
Who could have killed all of the crew and gotten off the boat and escaped, and gotten off of the boat, potentially with all of the leaders? I mean, this doesn't sound like. I mean, Asgeir, correct me if I'm wrong. This doesn't sound like typical sea behavior.
No, this sounds like a setup.
Doesn't it? Doesn't it? It doesn't. I've been on boats before. This is the first time I've been on a boat where just everyone randomly died. I mean, normally there's a cause, like me being navigator, but
No, next time you can go in the crow's nest. We'll let Miss von Richter navigate. You're fired.
that's fair. Actually, that's fair.
Well, is anyone investigating the bodies? Nikaletta, are you looking yet?
I am, with all respect, of course, I would probably help out whatever Nikaletta needed. And if I see a nice knife,
You would definitely hear the constant apologies to each individual body then.
Yeah.
All right. Nikaletta, wits and scholarship.
So now that's a lot better. I can do that. 2, 3, 4. I lie. I can't do that. Where's my dice? Shit, there it is.
Of course, as we've learned, the amount of dice you have doesn't seem to really have any bearing on what.
Shut up! Nobody asked for your facts.
Wits and scholarship. Damn it, I lost.
Listen, if you're going to tell the truth like this, I don't think we can be friends. What do we...
Okay, scholarship. What's that about? Aha! Yay! 16, 3 raises. Haha!
3 raises.
Hey.
So there is a process in raising the dead. Typically, you find the recently dead body and do the magical thing that raises them from the dead. Sometimes, if someone is killed by the dead, they will also raise, though that is not every time, and really only in some of the more potent versions of Hexenwork magic. The self-spreading versions are particularly nasty and part of the reason why Eisen is the total wreck that it is right now. You can see signs of execution style killings on the crew. A stab in the back, a slit throat, things like that. But none of the telltale signs of these bodies then being prepped. And you're very kind of confused about all of this until you're looking around in the crew quarters to see if there's anything you can miss, and you see a very familiar looking keg. It is a keg of wine of the same vintage as what you had found in the various holds of the Men of Culture back in Carleon.
Oh shit! We're docked in harbor, right?
Yeah, you're in harbor now.
Righteous. I take that keg, I run off the ship, find a bush to dump it on, and set the bush on fire.
Interesting. Okay. You go up, you do that, and you dump it all out. And as you dump it out, like at first you get the slightly stale wine smell. Crews tend not to get the best stuff. But as it dumps it out, there's something else in the smell. Rancid.
Yeah.
And you finish pouring it out. The bush does not catch easily because it's been getting rained on and is now currently actively getting rained on. However, you do have gunpowder on you.
Well, I'm more saying that she's going to try to. So whoever sees her dash off the ship just sees her.
Yeah, Demetrius, you're right there. So you. See
I would have immediately followed. Anytime Nikaletta does that, Eureka, run off. Oh dear. All right.
Uh-oh.
Everything's an emergency.
You also have a sample that you collected from one of those wine kegs while you all were searching the labyrinths, and you do still have that on you.
This is true, but the sample that I have does not smell like this. Once I get done dumping it out, she's still going to try that for a minute, and being in the range, she's kind of looking over her shoulder at Demetrius as he's making his way over. She's shit, and then she tries to bash open the keg itself. Is there anything inside?
You find a small, almost like a tea bag, but about, say, yay big.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just very simply tied shut. And as you open it, unmistakable hexenwork ingredients.
And she's just cussing and icing for a couple of minutes, and she just tap, 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 tap on the floor with this, just very angry.
Do I want to know?
Our travel has been sabotaged.
I had a sneaking suspicion.
No, more so than that. There was treachery aboard the ship itself. There's one in particular. The crew was not to blame. It was somebody else. Do we know who booked this entire trip? I understand that the Queen is who set us on this trail, but who actually secured this travel?
Good question. I don't
You'll
think
know that the travel was secured through the League, and that Arnau seemed to be their primary point of contact.
Cecero!
She seems rather upset, Asgeir. I wonder what she's screaming for.
It looks like, I've seen this a lot. It looks like she's screaming your name.
What do you mean you've seen that a lot?
How many ports have we got yelled at because of something you've done?
I only poisoned an Inquisitor 4 times.
4?
Let you do it more than
4
once.
times? What are you? Alastriona has been standing there like, what do you mean 4 times?
No, what he's not telling you is in the same week.
Why?
Officially, I accidentally poisoned like half a town. It was fine. There just had to
Listen,
be
Iron
this
Gullet
that-
is a heck of a perk. He wasn't expecting it, and he kept trying again.
How are you walking around free? Fucking hell.
I'm a really good fighter. And I'm really rich.
That one is true.
There it is.
That one.
There it is.
Probably a half decent lay too. You god damn.
That I've been told.
Fantasy Renaissance Batman. Oh my God.
Apparently.
To a degree.
To a degree.
So Nikaletta is making her way back to the ship, I take it, and
well, she's sitting there talking this over with Demetrius as they're walking. She's I don't understand exactly why, as I try to narrow down my own accent because it's been a minute.
So,
Who would do this and why?
it is a peculiar question, considering if the goal was to kill us, if they had the skill to kill everyone on board in our sleep, they could have simply killed us in our sleep.
Or the men of culture could have somebody inside the League at worst, because this is more of that same hexenwerk that we saw in the catacombs.
I believe mysticism is not something I'm really versed in.
She stops and looks at him for a minute before they get on board the ship, and she pulls her bag out, not her bag, her book, slightly out of the top of her bag. She goes, "You have seen it, you just haven't known," and she shoves it back in the bag.
It's peculiar things has happened, but it's nothing. As he thinks, why did I get a premonition of Sarah right before the fight? And
To wake you up.
yeah. Have Nikki, any part in hexenwerk where premonitions thing?
Storyteller? No.
Hexenwerk is very visceral. It's very
It's
body.
immediate results, not
Yeah.
okay. Not that I can think of. No, it's all very well. You've seen. It's kind of
Well,
disgusting.
actually, with one exception that Nikaletta would be aware of, the orb
Oh,
and its apparent ability to detect the presence of hexenwerk.
There's only one exception I can think of, but even at that, that doesn't extend to. What mysticism are you talking about?
I believe I was the first one to wake up during the battle, and
Yeah.
I had a premonition of sorts on the boat where it told me to wake up, and
The boat told you to wake up.
it was a dream, and I was having a very intense dream, and it told me to.
Demetrius, how hard are you masking right now?
I am really trying. Like, obviously, yeah. No, I'm trying to make it like I just had a dream. It was kind of Nicoletta.
Okay,
I don't know how much
Demetrius, I need you to roll your panache and convince.
Alrighty.
And Nicoletta, I need you to roll your wits and empathy.
Yeah, that was a roll.
That as well was a roll 2 raises.
All right.
Oh,
I'm gonna go ahead and give this to Demetrius on the on a tie, since he is trying, and it's his risk.
It was. I just had a dream of Nikaletta. Demetrius Penn has.
you were
flavorful
interrupted in the
dreams.
middle of betting somebody again, weren't you?
Yeah,
I know it.
it was a fun moment, but it then told me that I was in danger and I should wake up, and I was awake.
Well, that even the dreams, that is not something that Hexenwerk does. This is simply not.
Yes, I've never had a dream like that. It was peculiar.
That is peculiar indeed. I don't know of any mysticism that does that, except
Well-
perhaps something to do with the Fae, and that would be a question for Alastriona, no?
Perhaps. Yes. Well, that was fun. Well, let's move on to this this horrible topic.
Let's get away from me accidentally talking about your deceased
Yeah,
sister.
like-
Instead, we will move to-
Step back! We were going to interrogate Arnau, though. Well,
We're going to yell at someone. Yes, let's go yell at someone. All right. So, as they're in the process of boarding the ship, now that the ship is at rest, Alastriona, Arnau, and Asgeir, is there anything the three of you are getting up to on board? Any investigation or just sleep after
Sleep.
all of that? Yeah.
My man has been sitting there holding this wheel, like trying to all right, it's up to me to make sure everybody doesn't die.
Mm-hmm. And you have that.
Not
You know when you've been
thanks to
holding
somebody.
something. You know when you've been holding something with strength and tension for so long, you let go, and like your hands are just like shaking. You've got no more. Where do you go to sleep? Do you go back to the room you were staying in? The captain's cabin's right there. Do you?
He's just gonna crash in the captain's cabin after moving whatever's left of the viscera out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was. Yeah, other than the one thing that you all killed, who was not the captain, you're able to move those bits out, and none of it seemed to get on the bed. And you're not quite sure that you would mind if it did, or at least enough to change. And you sort of collapse under the bed. Arnau?
So Arnau is probably sitting at his desk, probably at his desk in his chamber down in the bottom, because he being a member of the league, he was probably given a fine furnishings in his cabin.
Mm-hmm. All of you were.
Well,
fine. Yours were the nicest.
there we go. That's what I was looking for. He's probably sitting. He's probably actually fallen asleep because he often falls asleep working when he just eventually just passes out because he's run out of steam. And it's been a long night, and he was already not sleeping when they were when everything started. So he's probably fallen asleep on his desk, drooling over a letter he was writing to somebody that he was going to send when they finally hit port.
All right. And Alastriona?
Alastriona is going to stay near the captain's quarters that Asgeir's in, and just kind of make she's now taken on I want to watch for this guy for a second. He just put in a lot of work. I'm gonna make sure he stays down, doesn't get disturbed for a bit.
So are you just gonna sit there quietly, or are you gonna poke around in the quarters a bit?
But she's not going to go in the quarters. She's going to let him rest. She's going to kind of hang out outside of it, to make sure people don't bug him so he can rest.
The human do not disturb sign.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Then Demetrius and Nikaletta, the ship is rather quiet when you clamber up from the little jetty that you took out from the boat and climb aboard. And you see Alastriona sitting at the little standing guard at the doors.
Alastriona, have you seen Arnau? Where did he go?
I think he went down to his quarters. Whatever he was staying in.
Has anybody seen a ledger for the ship at all? Like a captain's ledger or perhaps something of that nature?
Probably would be behind the store.
Perhaps I could wait until the morning.
I need to wait until morning.
I apologize, Nikki. It does seem like someone has horribly beaten you.
I know.
I know you would like to solve the mystery, but perhaps rest.
Well, I just say it's slightly important, I think, to figure out exactly who it was that sold us out, tried to kill us. Call me crazy. All right.
Demetrius is slowly oh yes, of course. As I just kind of walk her to her room.
She's just proud.
Hold on. What are you talking about? Excuse me.
The wine aboard the ship was poisoned. You see this? And she's got the bag.
And it looks nasty and it smells worse.
Well, after hearing about what Arnau was
are we
poison, you said?
Yes, we were sabotaged. I don't know exactly who, but someone gave this wine to the crew, and then someone went around killing everybody.
All right, and with that, Alastriona is going to open the captain's quarters door. Asgeir, wake up!
You got a solid 15 minutes of sleep there.
Are we under attack again?
Nah, we got questions. We need to find something in here. You can go back to sleep in a minute.
You don't even have to get up. It's fine. And she kind of shoves underneath Alastrina's arm.
Oh, okay.
Unless Alastrina stops her. If she does, then I'm an itty bitty little fucking Barbie. I can't.
Nikaletta seems to know what she's trying to find. Alastrina's like, hell no, we're not keeping this mystery unsolved.
All right. So wits and notice, Alastrina, as you are looking for something that might indicate what precisely.
Nikaletta.
Wits and notice.
Wits and notice.
2, 2, okay. 5 seems to be my magic number for dice tonight. Okay. Ooh! Oh, that's really good. 17, 24, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 32. 3 raises.
3 raises. You are able to make a very emphatic search. And a lot of the stuff, the immediate thing that you see is a lot of things are missing. It looks like a lot of the stuff that would normally be here, because where else on the ship would you keep it, is gone. But you keep looking, and you keep digging around, and you find a ledger. And it seems to be a ledger of when this ship travels. You realize as you're looking that the ship is not itself actually owned by the Vendel League. It got hired by the Vendel League to move you. And as you're kind of looking through it, you see that right before it sailed for you all, it had sailed with another client. And you recognize the name Lord Monterey.
What is that name? That name is ringing a dim bell for Kelsey, but Nikaletta would have a much better memory than me.
Lord Monterey was weak, almost not really a bother fencer that I...
He's the guy who stabbed a whole lot of holes into Demetrius.
Yes, he was quite an asshole.
Okay.
I believe
So many holes.
My life. Yeah.
Like I said, Nikaletta would remember.
it.
It's Kelsey that's memory who's shit. She's smart, not me. Oh, I know. The men of culture. She's just shaking the book up and down. She was going to slam it on the desk, but then she looked at Asgeir just.
I'm awake. Like, you can slam it. You're like,
No, it.
What are the odds that we chart a ship, the exact same ship?
I'm not the one that believes in odds. This is.
Well, it's time to wake up our other companion, and I head downstairs and I knock on Arnau's door. I decide to not even bother with Verity because I know she'll stab me if I wake her up. So I like he goes to.
She's correct.
We'll talk in the morning. And I knock on Arnau's door.
When he hears the knocking, Arnau's out of it because Arnau is deep asleep at this point in time. Because, like I said, he was up all night while he was doing work because he doesn't sleep at night because of the assassins. And during the day, he's usually awake as long as he can be until he just passes out. And he had hit the point where he had passed out. So he hears the knocking, kind of, and Arnau in Castilian just says, 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes, please.
The knocking continues, and unfortunately, Arnau, we need to talk.
Arnau.
Okay. And he puts, like, he's now waking up now because there's been enough knocking. He puts his quill down. He starts to push his chair back, sit up. Goes over to the door. slowly opens the door. What the fuck is going on that's so important you had to wake me up?
The wine on this ship was poisoned to turn the whole crew into zombies.
Hand it here.
Well, follow.
So,
And-
Nikaletta, do you hand him the bag?
Yeah, she would have it up and ready. Like she would have followed Demetrius down there. She's just like behind him the whole time.
It's
I know.
Arnau.
I know.
You've done a lot of poisoning. And you know that a little poison goes a long way. When she hands you the bag that was used to dose the wine, you have absolutely no inclination to put it in your mouth. The smell alone tells you that is awfulness. And it is a smell that you have now come to associate with the undead. It is entirely outside of your experience. And that alone is worrisome.
This isn't a traditional poison, I can tell you that much.
No, it is not.
It's far outside of my realm of expertise.
It is Hexenwerk. I know what the poison is. My bigger concern was that it made its way through a connection that you share. No, what is it called? The organization.
Vendel
The-
League?
The
There,
Vendel
that.
League. Yes, the Vendel League is rather large. Who do you have a copy of the ship's log or some sort of document I can look at? You have far too much energy to be this awake. Okay.
It's immediately obvious to you this is not a Vendel League ledger, but is fairly typical for privateers or other such independent ships that will frequently operate under the Vendel flag. They'll take various jobs and stuff like that. And you see, like they did, the name Lord Monterey had apparently hired the ship for a very brief jaunt. The details are not there. This seemed to be the captain's own personal ledger, separate from the ship's main book, which was missing from the captain's cabin.
It would seem the local chapter master, who has, according to our friend at the brothel, has a fine love of freckles, seems to have maybe set us up here.
You see
It's
what
not-
I mean?
Who chartered this? Of the Vendel League. I understand they paid for this crew, but who specifically made sure that we were on this boat?
That's hard to tell. The guildmaster would have ordered it. It would have gone to his secretary, who would have ordered it. It would have gone to the guy who walks down to the dock, who would have ordered. At what point?
The line.
I think it's far more likely that he probably has an ear to the ground there somewhere.
There's many potential levels of corruption where somebody could slip in some influence. The odds. I'm not saying it's a coincidence. It's almost certainly not. It was certainly planned, but the odds of Lord Monterey pulling strings from the background from afar could come from any such opportunity. It could potentially be the guildmaster. It could be him. It could also just as well have been one of our local hirees who we have walk down to the docks, was actually a man of culture in hiding, and nobody really caught it because it's a gang affiliation, and it's not exactly like you put that on a job application now, is it, Nikaletta? So
What are you looking at me like that for? That's very rude.
well, you came down here knocking on my door, waking me up from my sleep, and I can tell it's you because Demetrius wouldn't do that because he prefers living, and he didn't wake up the other duelist.
You expect me to be afraid of you then? That is interesting.
No. I just know Demetrius is afraid of duelists now. A
I
healthy
assume that
fear,
you-
a good fear.
I assume that you would appreciate having to figure out who's.
I enjoy a playful threat of dominance as much as the next one, but that is not going to get us anywhere. So, before we all do our posturing on how badass all of us are, let's figure out who is trying to kill us outside of Lord Monterey.
I don't think we are going to find that out very easily. Actually, again, without saying a single word, she runs back down below to where the bodies were at. I'm trying to find the one that doesn't have execution style wounds on it. That seems more like, I hate to say this, but self-inflicted.
Mm-hmm. As you are looking around, all of the crew seem at some point to have either stab wounds or the claw and bite marks of the other undead. You are guessing about half of them were executed, and then the other half were killed by the undead. However, the one that has no such markings was actually the one that was found in the captain's cabin. You would guess that was the first vector.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure who hired this poor bastard, but I wonder if we can maybe. And she just starts digging through the pockets.
All right. As you're going through his pockets and looking for various things, you're looking through, and it's odd because his body shows all the signs of one of the long form undead. So not you come up and you shamble until you decompose. This is one of the. He shows the signs of having been crafted. Of someone took time. Someone Frankenstein this guy. To be whatever it was, but also did it in such a way that for short periods of time he could probably pass as still living, which is very advanced Texan work. And as you're going through everything, you are digging through, and then you move past his jacket, and you search the pockets, and there's nothing there, and you look up, and pinned to his shirt underneath the jacket, miraculously untouched by any of the slashes or any of the things that went down in that fight that he had, is a black rose.
I'll pluck the black rose up. Does it feel brittle or decayed at all? Is it just...
It's fresh.
And
And it shouldn't be fresh. It's been at sea.
Yeah.
Nothing kills this sort of thing like seawater.
I understand this isn't going to give me a hero point, but I'm going to lean into my hubris a little bit and kind of be the fool for a moment and pull out my Hexenwork book and start looking through it with the black rose in hand.
All right. Give me a wits and scholarship.
Again, 5 is my magic number for dice tonight. 10. That is 2 raises.
Two raises?
Yes.
I'll give a hero point.
Thank you.
I hurt you today, so.
Thank you.
Fair. That's fair.
That's 2 more raises, so 4.
Hey.
Okay. Maybe it's no. Maybe it's no. Maybe it's no. You keep going through all the ways you would achieve that effect through Hexenwork. None of them work. There's a couple things that could keep like some level of freshness, but then the rose, like, okay, it's fresh, but it's also decaying simultaneously. Hexenwork is never pretty.
No.
However, it does remind you of another type of undeath. Hexenwork is not the only source of the undead. It is manufactured. It is a perversion of other forms of magic. There are in the world natural undead, or at least such an old magic that no one remembers that it was ever invented. It is just a part of the human condition. For instance, vampirism. You've never heard of it applied to a plant before.
Well, this is certainly undead. It is most certainly that. I don't think, and she kind of realizes what she's doing, and to anybody else that's in the room, she like looks at the journal, looks up at everyone. I don't.
Who is in the room? Because
No,
this is back up in the captain's quarters. So
Oh,
Arnau's
This guy.
following right now.
mhm.
Arnau's been
You guys-
following since she woke him up, because now if he's going to be interrogated for what ultimately was no reason, he's going to find out everything that there is to know about at this point.
Note to self: if we ever get to hang out in real life, don't wake Chandler up.
Noted.
you'll never get rid of him. No,
would
Asgeir
also-
never left the bed in that room. And somehow he's got like a cask that he's just like, oh, you're back. Shh.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's got the rose. And she goes, I think this is not normal hexenwerk.
To be perfectly honest, I've always assumed.
I
Okay. Hexenwerk is literally the boogeyman of Thea these days. It has destroyed an entire nation. It has ended wars and started far more interesting ones. It was responsible for some of the awfulness that was happening in the catacombs that some of you saw. Reactions. Let's just go around. Alastriona.
She'd hear that, and you would know how.
We'll get to her reaction. Arnau?
Fascinating.
All right. Asgeir? Other than snores?
Okay. What?
And Demetrius, we got the...
I have always assumed, and he shows no real
Okay.
worry. But if anything, Kyle probably walks up to Nikaletta, seems like Nikaletta's kind of shrinking in. You probably, kind of stand side by side with her and kind of give her the, I'm on your side. We're good.
no.
Nikaletta, all of that just happened.
I understand that this has very bad implications. If you would just give me just a minute to explain. I don't study this to learn how to manipulate the undead. I am looking to cure this disease from this world. And one cannot cure a disease without studying the infection.
I trust you.
Well, the main weird thing you've seen her do is treat bodies so that Hexenwerk cannot resurrect them.
We would have died many times without you.
Like goes for likes. There's been plenty of times if I was not with all of you, then I would not be here, especially you.
Well, I see there's no reason to have this be a problem for the group dynamic. Correct? And I gesture to the rest.
Asgeir sitting on like the edge of the bed, full Pooh Bear mode, like, sure. You've done nothing to try to kill me yet.
Right? Is it yet? Okay. Thank you.
He kind of like, I travel with.
I understand. I understand.
I could find your fascinations. So long as you're acting responsibly and not, actively raising an army of the undead to reconquer your barony or whatever hexen workers do. I don't know.
No. That was as I dig through the notes to try to remember what the bastard's name was.
Shit. Where'd the
That
story
a long time ago, everyone was on vacation.
No, it was the name of her teacher. Oh, dang it, Dan! Where'd that story that you posted went?
Oh yeah.
This is why I always make flashcards. Anytime I read stories, I make flashcards of important things. I didn't do it this time. I don't know why.
1 second, I'm not recalling it, but it is Otto.
That would have been more along my teacher's lines. Otto, he was disgusting man.
Well, now I'm slightly more concerned considering the fact that your teacher raised an army of the undead in order to reconquer his barony.
No, not
Neither
that
here
he,
nor there.
not that he did, just that he would have if he could have. Sad little man. Ugh.
Still concerning. But so long as you're acting responsibly, Miss von Richter, you're a Baroness of Eisner. You've seen worse, I'm certain, and you've probably done worse. We're nobles. We have power beyond over mortal lives. So why not also extend our lives over to mortal undead? In fact,
How
I
do
think
you
it's
treat the people under
enterprising.
your care?
I don't have any people under my care at this moment in time.
Okay.
Alastriona?
Alastriona is not sure what to make of all of this.
Alastriona,
I'm going to go.
it understands this. I would not have started this if it were to do anything other than help. That I promise you.
You know what? She's actually going to stop and go. I said I had things that I couldn't tell. We've all got things we can't tell sometimes, eh?
Thank you. I'm hurt by that comment backstage.
This does, Alastriona, for you perhaps recall the time when everyone was going at you to explain what was up with you and the O'Bannon, and Nikaletta was one who was like, "No, she have her secrets."
Right. No, exactly. Like, initially, Alastriona was like, the fuck? And then she goes, wait, no, this is the same thing. We're going to just back off there.
Thank you all for the understanding. Thank you. But that is neither here nor there with that. This is not normal Hexenwerks. This is not even within the realm of Hexenwerks that even I don't practice. This is something more. This is older. This is along the lines of vampirism. I can't think of any other way to explain it, but it's a rose.
Yes.
How does they infect a rose with vampirism? I do not understand this. And she just starts lost intensely in investigating the rose. I don't need to make a roll.
How careful is Nikaletta as she is? You know what? You said you do the thing. I know your finesse.
Oh no.
And
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh my god, Nikaletta as a vampire. This is gonna be dope.
Oh no.
It's gonna be dope.
you know, this is just finesse.
Oh no. I rolled
a hero
six
point. Someone
and
give her a hero
1.
point.
I rolled a 6 and a 1.
With no raises.
No reason.
And the hero point really should come before the roll happens. You're just going over this. Roses have thorns.
Oh yeah, okay.
Every rose.
And as you're moving around, the thorn pricks your finger. And it's not a bad
Oh, no.
prick. But when you pull back, there's no drop of blood. In fact, your hand's feeling cold.
She's
And
just
the rest of you watch as the rose grows and blooms. 3 more black rose heads appear, tendriling around, and, it should be said, attempting to wrap around Nikaletta's arm.
Oh no! I'll try to stop that from happening.
Okay, how?
With my it's still pretty small, so with my dagger trying to cut the stems that are trying to attach to it.
Finesse and weaponry.
Sweet.
And it's really close to her skin, so there are 2 risks of injuring Nikaletta as you're doing this.
I gotcha.
total compliance for what it's worth. She's kind of like, oh. I was not expecting to be made a vampire. What the fuck, Dan?
Are we gonna have to fight a vampire plant? Is that this next fight that's coming up?
Feed me,
Feed
Seymour.
me.
More.
4 successes. All wounds mitigated.
My first finesse and weaponry roll today. So
You actually have 1 more raise than you needed to mitigate all of the risks and also succeed. Is there anything you would like to do to alter the scene to your benefit? Any edits?
Any edits to alter the scene? Well, I want to keep the row still intact, you know, so it's still like serviceable to be studied. And I don't know,
Demetrius pulls out the sword and slash, slash, slash. The rose falls clear from Nikaletta's arm. No more punctures, no cuts. And now with 4 intact roses, it goes back to seemingly an innocuous, normal plant.
Nope. Start looking around for like a chest. Like using one of the boots he took off to like shovel them into the chest and like
gently scoop it up.
Yeah.
So, Nikaletta,
No.
does vampirism have any natural weaknesses? I'm not well acquainted with sorcery of this like. In my country, they don't allow us to study such.
Actually, as it would happen, Castilians learn very well how to kill vampires because better that the vampires are dead. Nikaletta, though, from your previous scholarship role, I'm saying you had a chance. Actually, Otto highly encouraged the study of vampirism. He said it was always good to look at the first draft and see where the advanced versions had come from. He was very dismissive of vampires. Vampires have been, like I said, they've been a part of Thea for as long as people can remember. They are not a new thing. And the usual, there's a lot of kind of mythic ones, but what's generally accepted is that they cannot stand sunlight. A stake through the heart is supposed to put them down. Theoretically, if you cut off their heads and fill the mouths with garlic, that will keep them down. And there's supposed to be other things that kind of mess with them psychologically. How much of that applies to a rose? You are uncertain.
She'll relay all that information, but just with that same confusion of, it's a lot of hearsay. I know of tales that I have heard. I have not personally run into any vampires, and I've never seen it applied to a flower.
And Arnau, give me a wits and scholarship.
Lovely wits and scholarship. That is, I failed the first roll by choice. So does that mean I get my flair?
Yeah, it means you never rolled, so this is your first roll. So yes.
Okay, good.
There.
I would love to take my unfortunate again to just say something wildly wrong about vampires. Oh yes, they all
You know what? This time, go for it.
vampires are all cowboys in the Wild West.
Okay, ferret.
2 successes. 2.
The information that she's sharing is very similar to what you were taught. She didn't mention any of the prayers to the prophets that you are aware of that apparently will push that vampires cannot take, or various symbols of the Vaticine that will drive them away, which are pretty standard vampire fighting fare from what you grew up with. But otherwise, her information seems to square pretty well with what is being taught. There have been vampires, at least according to the Inquisition, vampires have been found in most of the nations of Thea. In fact, the place they're supposed to be rare is Eisen.
We're getting the religious propaganda in Nikaletta, but that's fine. It's probably just propaganda. Anyway, so, Well, what is important is that I think we need to do some testing on this. I want to see what effects the flower might have when ingested, so I'm going to take one for my own studies. I think we should leave one out in the sunlight to see what happens to it, just in case. Whether it grows, if it grows, then we have a new garden. If it doesn't grow, then we learn that these vampiric plants die in sunlight. It's a win-win.
What do you mean
Why?
ingested?
How about we go back to that first thing?
Yeah. Let's.
Yeah.
How about no?
Give me reverse that. Are you suggesting you will be ingesting the vampire flower?
Me? No, I'm not that stupid.
But
No.
So, just for the sake of conversation, who are you planning to ingest? Because you were very perturbed that we woke you up. So,
What do you think my craft is with the Vendor League? Just curious.
You've heard him talk a lot about wine sales.
yes.
Why?
I have, in my time with nobles, whatever you say your business is never the business you actually are in. So, just want to be clear. It seems that we're making certain stipulations.
Nikaletta, for like the briefest second, gets this look like, I bet. Well,
I just want to make sure that we are not planning on poisoning an innocent, so you can see what happens.
Not an innocent, no. Somebody
Great.
who's committed some sort of harm. Is someone who's maybe one of the men of culture.
And what happens if that actually turns him into a vampire?
Well, then we get to kill a vampire.
For the record, intentionally poisoning someone with something that will turn them into an undead is definitely a corruption point.
Well, we don't know what's going to turn them into an undead.
I feel like we do. I feel like we do.
Yeah, poisoning someone that will
Scientists,
either kill them and maybe raise them undead. Also a corruption point.
Why don't you go fishing and try it out on one of the trout? How about that? Would that soothe your curiosity?
I mean, I probably would have tried it on a rat first or something like that. I mean, a trout's a good idea, actually. If I make it, but the thing is that then we might have an issue with rats can be controlled because I can put them in a cage. I have to throw the trout back into the
No,
water.
no, you don't.
Oh,
No, you
yeah.
don't. No, we take
on the deck.
we take an empty cask, fill it with seawater, and put it on the deck.
That's a good plan, actually.
I just,
Oh,
you act like I never have them.
point out, this is the Castilian Princess is currently one of the few ships without rats on it because they were all eaten by the undead. Would be a thing.
So we'd have to go fishing.
Well, we're in a nice little cove, so I guess going out and doing a little bit of fishing.
There you
more
go.
Horses besides Mordaunt down there.
None
You're going to
alive.
do it with you can use a fish, and you try anything else, you're gonna have some troubles on your hands.
It depends on one of those things where like the collar gets grabbed and ringed and brought in like, we're using a fish.
We're using a fish. We can use a fish. Good lord.
Don't you, good lord? That's like we're the crazy ones.
All father above. My God.
Okay. So I'm not going to make anyone roll for fishing.
Oh God. Yeah.
This isn't a risk, except maybe of embarrassment. And Demetrius, relatively easily, with stuff he can find on the ship, puts together a rod string. And
That would totally be Asgeir's thing for like crafting.
Oh yeah, sure. And so yeah, whoever is able to make a setup, and you're able to get a sea bass.
All right.
In the meantime, we'll tie an empty cask up with some rope, lower it down, fill it with water, and reel it back up.
Mm-hmm. And now you have a sea bass, very confused, swimming around in this tiny little cask.
I guess put the
Voila.
Gonna wrap this
There you go.
around a piece of worm. Just wrap it around the worm, drop it into the thing. Nikaletta, do you want to watch?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we're all watching.
The sea bass kind of
Everyone's just
picks at
around
it
this barrel.
and then swallows the petal and the wormhole. Continue swimming.
Just keep swimming.
See,
I feel like we're gonna sit and watch it for a while.
It was nothing crazy. It was just a flower petal, really.
There was a
No.
chance that it could turn someone into a vampire.
It might only work on humans.
Hmm.
About an hour and a half passes. And finally, the storm lets up. The clouds part. And the start of the sunrise. Sunbeams start to show and go over. Has anyone done anything with the rest of the rows in order to test the effect of sun on it? Has that happened? Or it was mentioned?
I would have just left one of the rose petals out, so once the sun hits it, just see what happens somewhere on the deck.
The petal is left out on the deck, and as a sunbeam hits it, it bursts into flame and soon is nothing but ash. As the sun shines down into the cask,
Yeah.
the scales of the sea bass go pale white, but it continues swimming.
Hmm. This is very interesting.
We might need to look at that a little closer to know what's going on.
Yeah.
Could it be? Maybe
It bites Nikaletta. No, I'm kidding. Oh, I did forget. There was one minor wound from where you got stabbed by the more having to do with the blood drainage than
Son of a bitch, quit beating up my bookworm.
stop poking at sharp things.
No.
Ooh, Hey, storyteller.
Yes. You.
Well, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Okay.
Take him back.
Nikaletta picks up the fish, takes a look at it. It is pale, and as it comes out of the water, the effect becomes even stronger. It now is almost like it's an albino sea bass, but it is flapping in your hands, trying to get out, like a fish that's been pulled out of the water.
This is very interesting.
Alastriona and then Arnau.
Another thing I was going to do was about taking the fish out of the barrel.
Okay. All right.
Would this have been feeding the flour to the fish be considered taking a great risk to uncover a secret?
This is not a great risk. No, you quite a few things were held to make sure that this would not be a risk. Eating it yourself would have been a great risk.
Ooh, that would have been interesting.
So it looks like.
So it turned albino, but it's not bursting in the sun.
It's not bursting into flame. It is not dead. It is as lively as it was when you caught it. Clearly, something happened, but it has not been turned into a vampire fish. Though there's a part of me that now wants it to escape and then just like to bring back the school of vampire fish in season 3.
The great white vampire.
Oh, no, it fell back into the ocean. Oh no.
Takes the chest full of the rest, like, I'm going back to bed. Locks the door behind him.
Well,
So now
as you turn around and you start heading towards the door, suddenly you all hear a shout coming from the island. And looking, you see a young man in very rough clothes, looking like they have not been like this, waving his arms frenetically at you. Oi! Hey! What? Can you see me? Can you hear me?
Oh, I'm sure nothing horrible will happen here. So, well, obviously we see him. So
Why we should have just ignored him, and we can start sailing away, Demetrius. Now we have to acknowledge him.
And I go to the right before I head down the ladder to meet up with him. And I was like, "Oh no, you are the reason I hate nobles." And I started crying.
He waves and it's like, we've had a number of shipwrecks in the area. There's a lot of castaways here.
You said he looks like
he looks like a castaway. He looks like
a
he's been
castaway
exposed for a long time.
Looking around his areas, where would be a good spot to, if I was to approach, would be a good spot to, surprise ambush me. So I'm just going to kind of.
I mean, theoretically, because it's a fairly heavily wooded island. So theoretically, if you got to the beach, people could jump out of the boats and jump out of the woods and rush you. But on the beach, we'll give you about as much warning as you'd get anywhere.
Okay. I very approach, pistol in hand, but not aiming at him, but acknowledge that I have it.
Yeah.
And what is your name?
Sorry, Emilio. There's a number of us here. The waters around here are very treacherous. You're lucky you got your ship through here at all.
Yes, we've had some rough times at sea, so pardon my suspicion. How many of you?
About 20, 30 all told, from multiple shipwrecks over the years. If you go around close to the windward side, you'll be able to see us clearly from the water. And if you stay close to the land, you're not likely to hit any of the reefs. The toughest thing will be when you get out, particularly if you head out westward. you go out eastward, it would be relatively close later.
I appreciate that. Perhaps I'll speak to the crew, see if we check out your encampment. Are you looking for passage back
That
to
would
mainland?
be that would a passage back to the mainland would be incredible. Some of us have been here for a very long time. It's just so rare that it's not on any trade routes, and so you're the first intact ship I've seen since I've been here, and I've been here like 5 years.
It was rough seas. 5 years. And apologies, your name again?
Emilio.
Emilio. If you'll be kind and wait.
Well, if your plan is to go around, I could head back towards the village and let them know you're coming and start folks preparing, and then you'd be able to see it clearly. We honestly are very little threat.
If your story is true, then I see no problem in giving you voyage. However, when you go back to your people, make sure they're kind. We have dealt with some rough people recently.
Yes, there's quite a few of those, but those all traveled more inward into the island. They've set up some sort of. Anyway, we would very much like to be able to get on your boat without having to do them anymore.
If this was D&D, I'm like, insight check. But
you have empathy if you want.
I will. I definitely want to kind of suss them out.
The risk here is in misreading, and okay, sure. So, wit and empathy.
2.
The risk was of one was half 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. This guy is desperate for rescue, and his mention of the ones who stay more inward on the island is fear.
I have no reason to not believe you. So I will talk to my crew, and perhaps I will see you there.
All right. Demetrius gets back to the ship. And,
yeah, I tell him everything, tell him all about the guy. And there seems to be a variety of people shipwrecked, but he did mention the more intense and probably some pirates who were also washed up to sea have ventured inward, but there are some innocents, and I gesture over to Arnau when I say innocents, that we can give them voyage home. And I intend to do so.
More hands would help with the ship.
That is true.
I second that, though I do question why you said I intend to do so. This is a democracy, clearly.
Yes.
Well, does anyone argue with what Demetrius has brought forward? Because I, for one, support his decision.
I'm just putting it out there. This is a democracy.
Don't argue for the sake of arguing.
I mean, if there are individuals out there who know more about sailing than all the rest of us, Asgeir, not that you haven't been absolutely fantastic, but that was a bullshit ride, and I don't want to do it again.
I could also use a nap, so any kind of help would be great.
My goal as storyteller is to make sure Asgeir never sleeps again over the course of this campaign.
I just need you to, we just need you to get us right over there, and then you can. I promise you can go to sleep right after.
I will say though, they don't have a good track record with getting ships to port. Clearly, all the ones who are here. They have at least failed on one ship before.
We should probably vet them. Well, you should vet them. Yeah.
We should at least go look.
I think we should take them with us. I think there's nothing against taking them with us. We can also charge them a little bit of money for the ride, and then they'll be indebted to the Vendel League, as for most humans are. But
What's wrong with you?
Listen. We don't have time to unpack all that.
Let's try to save people.
we're gonna save them. Of
Yes.
course. Yeah, I agree.
I see no reason why we should not. It is the business of those who are able to help those who are not.
That has not been my experience.
You have known me and my father and my sister very well. That is harmful. That is hurtful.
You are a delightful change of my experience.
To be lost and stranded at sea is not a fate I wish on anyone. So,
Yeah.
All right.
Agreed.
The ship slowly, the anchor is raised and simply sailing around the island. Not that much of a risk, like they said. The dangerous reefs are further out, and so you're able to rise up and just very gently, very carefully, with only a few spats of expletives to get the mast in the right way, get the ship to slowly pull around, and after a little bit of sailing, you come up and you see the village. And it is clear that village is far too grandiose a term. This is a number of hovels, lean-tos, made up mostly of driftwood, of ancient and rotted rope from various shipwrecks that they were able to recover, bits of canvas and stuff like that to supply the walls, to supply the walls, the roofs, thatching with palm leaves, but anyone who's ever thatched with palm leaves know they don't really make great thatch. And it's just making do with what they have. You can see that they have fishing lines, netting set up to try to get some sort of food. And you would guess that the majority of their village's food comes from fish that are caught in the sea. And there is a small stream that is trickling out from the woods that seems to be their primary source of fresh water. And you can see, using looking glasses and stuff like that, they've dug out a bit of a fill hole so that the fresh water can sit for a while still passing out to the ocean. So there's a good supply of water at any time, but not standing stagnant. And that's kind of the best of what they've been able to do. And it looks like a raggedy bunch. Men, women, children of varying ages. The children showing more than ever that the clothes they're wearing are way too small. Some of them having probably been there for quite some time as the boat slowly pulls, and there is cheering coming from the shore as they are all just waving excitedly. And you can see Emilio, who spoke with a pretty identifiable Castilian accent, speaking to people and getting them organized, saying, "Get your things, we're getting out of here." And it's very clear for him, let's get out, let's go is his primary priority. Are folks going out to the village to help out or to see what's there?
Arnau would.
I would too.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone?
Yep.
I would say maybe one of us stays on the ship.
Mm-hmm.
I got you.
All right.
Please do not wake him.
Everyone's desperate to get him to nap.
All right. So you all get in your jetty and you kind of take it out. And you can see they have a couple of lifeboat type things that look beat up, but are probably still serviceable to get from the island to the ship and back to the island. And you head out, and Emilio meets you all as you arrive and goes, "Thank you all so much for coming. You are a miracle from the prophets. I cannot thank you enough."
You mentioned others deeper inland.
Not everyone who got stranded here was just a passenger or a simple sailor like myself. Some were pirates. And there's more food inward. There's hunting to be done. There's fruit, coconuts in some of the trees and the like, but they hoarded it all to themselves. And anytime we managed to build a decent supply of anything, they would raid it or come and take people if they thought that they would be useful to their band. My primary hope is to be out of here, and for when they check on us for whatever they need next, they just find us gone.
Hold.
How many people did they take?
Over the years, I have not been here the longest, but sometimes they, if a young man looks particularly strong or hale, they would often press gang him into they would press gang him into working with them, or sometimes they would take children.
I beg your pardon. What?
Not all of them. I mean, it's never clear why, but some children would be grabbed, and particularly the ones who did not have parents with them here on the island. If they,
I have a cup of tea to make. I'll be back.
Nikaletta, stop. Where is this camp located?
None of us have ever seen it, but it's well inland. You're probably looking a ways up some of the hills at least, but they have wood and tools and anything of worth that ever landed they took for themselves, so they're certainly better set up than we are.
Well, change of plan. And whenever we usher everyone, I'm up for helping them all board the ships and everything, but I don't know how long. That's probably going to take a bit. But
it does, but they also don't have a lot. Everyone seems to have maybe one or two personal items that they manage to store or keep to themselves. But again, it looks like when they mean every item of value, they mean every, they don't even have a sharp knife.
Yeah, whatever food they probably still had on them that they hadn't recently eaten. I guess once we're all back together, so we have a few problems. We could make our goal for it with the people we have, but not enough food to feed everyone. Or expend some justice. And then we have food for everyone for our voyage.
Or we could glass the island with our cannons and then go see if there's any food left.
So you've got cannons, but glassing is not going to be an option here.
Oh, you did not hear me. No, I was quite serious. And she takes a knife and drags it across her palm and kind of dribbles it over the top of the rose.
You shouldn't be doing that.
I'm assuming we're in the captain's cabin, and this isn't something that everyone is doing.
I was assuming she was on the beach. I'm not doing that for the thing to grow on the boat again.
Oh, you did it on the beach?
Okay.
What did I miss while you guys were filling the ship with people?
Well, they were filling the ship with people. Nikaletta zipped on past you, didn't say a word, zipped right off again.
I don't think that's a good sign.
Before we start doing a whole lot of things, maybe we need to figure out if there are any innocents in that camp they still have. We don't know if they're still here or not.
They said they took children. So
who took kids?
Pirates that were shipwrecked. They're inland.
Why are we still here?
Because you need to rest.
They took
What
children.
do they see in Asgeir's face when he hears about pirates who have been taking children?
Usually he's this big, jolly, jovial, lovable bear that you don't want to stand in front of. And when he hears that, there's a color drain from his face. The light behind his eyes just dims. and like his grip on the handle of the axe just tightens to a white knuckle. Like, well, you all come up with a plan. I'm going to go get the kids.
Asgeir,
I'm coming with you.
Sorry, I was trying to.
I go to the God, the guy I keep talking to. Whose name I should actually write down.
Emilio,
Emilio.
Emilio.
like
Emilio.
Estevez.
Emilio, my friend. There's many of you and not enough food. And we have a particular problem with people who take children. So we're going to go kill those pirates. What assurances do I have that you do not sail away in our boat?
Well, of everyone here, I'm the only one who has any kind of sailing experience, and who would be dumb enough to sail this ship with only one person who knew how?
hey.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Of course. You know, we are a mighty crew. Yeah, mighty crew. Totally capable. Anyway, so you said
To be fair, we didn't leave with only one person able to
I
stay.
have a few-
This wasn't the plan.
Do not check out this. Just, by the way, don't check in the other room.
And don't go down below. Just don't.
Don't like what's the room that all the bodies are in?
The cargo hold.
Yeah, the cargo hold and the crew quarters.
I would have been saying don't enter no cargo hold. You can set up, and I offer my room. I offer,
Mhm.
you know, we're going to crowd into the captain's quarter.
Mm-hmm.
That's how, at least I would have just put my stuff in the captain's quarter in a corner.
Mhm.
But I'm saying no one goes into the I will put a little bit of a almost like
They hear you, and
this is a danger. Do not go in there.
this group is so cowed.
Mhm.
Like, you as an armed person, they're used to the armed people showing up, taking whatever they want, killing people if they wanted to, and leaving. So
Mhm.
no one is in a place to argue with you.
Then we will be absolutely fine. It's just dangerous in there, and I don't want anyone to be hurt. So please, and take the space. We are going to get your food, and hopefully some of your children, lost children.
Mr. Penn, asking as respectfully as I know how, if they come out of the woods in force and they're going to make it to the ship, we might, if we were to sail to the cove where we first saw you, would that be suitable?
The Cove sounds reasonable. I kind of go for the team. We good with that? We will meet you at the Cove.
They will
Is
not let
Asgeir
us.
even here? He said he was helping.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said he was going, so we're good. Whoever's still left on the team.
Alastriona went to
All right.
scruff him. So
Well, yeah, and there's boats going back and forth. So Asgeir took the last one. Demetrius takes this one. On the beach, Nikaletta is doing a thing. What is the thing Nikaletta is doing?
She's gotten a separate satchel and has put the rose inside of it. She wants to just get maybe a drop or two just to double check and see what it does.
So you put a drop of 2 of your blood, and you give it a squeeze down. Are you squeezing it onto the petals or onto the thorns?
Onto the thorns specifically,
Okay.
because I remember.
You're able to watch this time, because before you were more surprised, and then it was growing. It was the whole thing, but now you're able to watch it. And as the blood drops down into, watch as the thorns actually seem to bend, and as the points of them touch the drops of blood, you see the blood just get sucked in, and it's almost like they're trying to suck every drop that they can get, and you realize it's actually received less blood than it got when you stabbed yourself, because it didn't just get the blood that it pulled; it was actually pulling blood from your veins, and so a couple of drops is less than what it got before. But you can see immediately more and more thorns start to grow, and tendrils of vines start coming out. You could see this turning into a rose bush without a ton of blood being necessary.
Shasta, kind of crack open the bag a little bit, let some sun in, not enough to burn the whole thing, just to stifle the growth.
Oh, yeah.
And then immediately shut the bag back. All right. Well, this is going to be one hell of a bomb.
This is the part we see.
Yeah, you would see as you come up to the beach, Asgeir's already there, and
Yeah, quite a little shop of horrors you have there.
This will be very useful for distraction. If it starts calling me Seymour, I'll let you know.
Why do I suddenly feel the urge to start singing? That's weird.
Yeah, I don't tell you I wanted to be a dentist.
absolutely unhinged. All right.
So, do we have a plan? I understand we're going to go kill the pirates, but, our actual plan on not being spotted while we do this.
Well, we need to see and double check first if they are amenable at all, or if they are just separated from everyone for different reasons. Just confirm their intentions, and then, if necessary, then
Of course.
there's things we can do.
I would hate to kill a makeshift child soldier.
Yeah, that is what I'm thinking as well.
We could attempt to lure them out if we,
Ooh.
a direct conflict on their location. At least a few of them. We know that they raid the village whenever there's a stockpile built up. Maybe make it look like we know that they most likely will come for the ship at some point, but maybe draw their attention the first time with making some noise, create a stockpile of some degree, make it look like there's an easy target for them to come grab, and then we grab whatever ones that come out to try to do that, and then convince them to take us back to their main camp where we can get rid of the rest of them.
Easy target. That's me, isn't it? Yeah, okay. She's like little 5'4" skinny blonde girl. Yeah, okay.
Roll for awkward silence.
Roll for side eye.
Oh.
I would never say you're an easy target, Nikaletta.
What do you want me
After
to
all,
do? Dress and drag and do the hula?
Oh, man. Okay, well, first, we should probably find some sign that they are nearby. I guess we'll trek inward.
Track them down.
So, the forest, darn near jungle, is very thick. And obvious paths through seem to be rare. However, the most obvious one is actually the stream. It's fair to bet that these pirates have their own source of fresh water, and that this stream comes from that.
Follow the stream, but being aware of our surroundings, making sure we're not going to just stumble on them.
All right, who is gonna take the lead on this particular approach?
Someone who I imagine would be really good at notice. I hope someone. There we go, Rogue.
All right. This will be a wits and notice.
That is 2 raises.
Okay. Do you have any leftover dice?
I have 2 leftover dice.
Would you like to sell one of those to me? You get a hero point, I get a villain point.
So one of my raises.
No, not one of your raises. One of the dice that you couldn't use to build a raise.
Yes.
All right, take you a hero point.
He knew that by offering me this deal, he was gonna get it. He was gonna get a yes answer. He knew that.
Probably a
For the
question.
record, I have these lovely gold coins that I use to mark. Here are the villain points I currently have.
Why do you have so many?
Because I start with one for each of you.
Yay.
Question I probably should have asked earlier. After our last fight, have we rested? So from that first fight?
Death spirals were all reset at the start of this episode.
Gotcha. Just making
Swashbuckling rules.
Gotcha. All right.
Like,
Cool.
Let's be honest. It's been days since Demetrius has been run through several times by a very talented swordsman. Yet he's fine.
No, I did take a few hits in the
Yeah.
in the fight with Thane. So that's why. Alrighty. So it's just Nikaletta who got the crap kicked.
Beat up by a boat. The Eisner Baroness got beat up by the Castilian princess. So,
To be the only time you ever hear about me getting beaten up by wood.
Anyway,
really crazy, Nikaletta. Crazy.
all right. So, sorry, it was 2 raises. So, as you are making your way up, you start to see signs of passage. Like you'll occasionally come up, and you'll see where branches have been hacked down to make the passage a little bit easier, and little minor places where you can see a trail definitely has been made, but also has been somewhat obscured. And you're just making your way through the woods around the stream. You occasionally come to places where the stream has been partially dammed as a water collection point. That would then spill over, but you imagine, the stream might have gone dry down at the village for a day or two before this particular holding pool filled up and then overflowed, and they had fresh water again. And just every sign of everything is for these pirates and the survivors down on the beach. Whatever they get is whatever they get. And you're making your way up the path. And it starts to get hot. You all had been cold. It'd been very cold in Avalon when you were there. But now it's warm. Unseasonably warm. Like you couldn't have gone that far south. And as you're making your way, you come across several springs as you're walking along. And the springs are steaming hot. And any of you with, I will say, 2 or more dots of scholarship, and certainly Asgeir, coming from Vestin Manavinyar, would put together, this is a volcanic island.
Oh, good. Good. Do any of you have problems with volcanoes?
What's a volcano?
Divine problem.
Well, what?
Arnau, you've spent enough time to invest in, you know what a volcano is.
It's called making Asgeir ask questions.
It's okay, little buddy. We'll teach you about the birds and bees one day. Anyway, I asked the question because we're on an island with a volcano.
I mean, as long as it's not going to erupt anytime soon, it shouldn't be a problem. Yeah?
That should be okay.
I mean, considering, I would have to assume that if we look at the hot springs, the hot springs probably mean some level of activity because the heat means that something is active. So it could probably erupt at any moment. We probably should have. This probably would have been, important information that we could have asked those settlers that we probably should have known and that they did not tell us about because I'm certain they knew.
Well, maybe not.
Maybe
Regardless,
not.
it hasn't erupted while they've been here.
Plus, those things are usually preceded by like earthquakes and other nature going haywire kind of things.
As Asgeir is saying,
Son of a bitch.
Oh, no.
as Asgeir is saying this, there is a low rumbling under the ground.
There's going to
He's
be
a witch.
Demetrius looks over at Asgeir. That is your fault.
I
No,
blame you.
You know what? Let's agree to disagree and blame Arnau.
Yeah. Mm.
Asgeir, I thought she was supposed to be the witch, pointing at Nikaletta.
Whoever said I was a witch? I don't have any warts, do I?
No, you're very beautiful. Don't listen to him.
Aw.
Listen, my friend. You're the one talking about making a vampire army. Okay?
I never said that. What?
You
what?
didn't say.
Maybe we should stick to the task at hand, which is finding these children, dealing with the people who took them,
Yeah.
instead of silly
Before
quips.
the volcano erupts, preferably. Yes.
All right,
Venture.
making our way out. Yeah, it was not a plan to have an earthquake there, but then it was just too perfect with these things.
The second you said earthquake, I saw the smile. That GM smile, like
I knew what I was doing. I was like, this is
How
bait.
dare you
If
say
Dan takes it, then we know what to expect.
You work your way on up. And the passage gets a little tough a couple of times, and you start to realize it's also on purpose. You see logs and stuff that have been felled to create an outer line of defense, but it's clearly not meant for just a handful of people walking up. This was meant if, like, the villagers ever tried to just be like, screw it, make spears and rush them to make the going difficult. Just you all are few enough that you're able to make your way through these various passageways and walls and the like without too much difficulty passing along. There are birds singing in the air. Again, there's that heavy steam in the air that seems to be being held in by the canopy of the trees. And in the distance, you come up on yet another wall. And this one does seem to be guarded. The guard does not seem to be paying very close attention. You all haven't. There is a patch of cleared ground that you'll have to cross to get to the wall, and you haven't left the tree line yet. But there is a guard, very sunburned, swarthy looking, though not as destitute as the villagers and survivors looked, sitting on what looks to be a tree stump, overlooking the wall, twiddling a stick, occasionally just kind of glancing around. A guard who clearly does not expect anyone to come because no one ever does. But still a guard and not like asleep or anything like that.
And this is a full-grown adult, not a child.
This seems to be a grown person.
All right. So is this damsel in distress act, yeah?
Maybe, man, it would have been if only. I wish for Verity. This is like her moment.
She's back in the
Mouse,
ship.
if you're
right?
watching this, we miss you.
We do.
She's who's actually on the ship watching all the people to make sure they don't.
No,
Making
she
sure
still
they don't
hasn't seen
enter her
anyone
room.
on the ship. Verity doesn't see poor people.
That is fair.
At least somebody on the ship gets to sleep.
Oh man, that's funny.
Or we could just sneak up and stab him.
We could just sneak up and stab him.
We could also give him a chance.
To see us
Not
and kill us?
more- Do you think he could kill us? him.
I mean, he might. I don't think he can kill the four of us. Looks over at Nikaletta.
Yeah.
Can't even argue. Just like, ah. Yeah.
Like, we'll be very convincing.
We still could sneak up on him, though.
I agree.
That's if it's
Uh,
win.
Yep. Trying to sneak up.
All right. Who's taking the lead on the sneaking?
I am
Well-
very sneaky.
Okay.
I have two dots in hide. Does anybody have better than that?
Finesse and hide as you make your way across the cleared area.
Do I look like the character that does things quietly?
Well, I've got 2 dots in hide too, so yeah, I'll go with.
All right. Everyone who's going, finesse and hide.
If I could wander, if I could fall.
Oh, and I'm spending a danger point.
God.
Your threshold is 15.
I hate you.
The 10s on the D10 are an automatic raise still.
I hate you.
Diabolical. Diabolical.
So that's a 15. So that's 1.
I mean, he gave me the danger point. It would be rude to
He
not
did.
use it.
That's true.
That's still 2
You're rude.
raises.
Nice. 2 raises.
Nice.
The both of you are able to move fairly quietly. And again, he's not asleep, but he's also not being particularly attentive. And you're able to kind of get a feel for his rhythm as he's cutting and moving and make your way across. Both of you, over the course of doing this sneaking, have a moment where, like, you stumble a little bit or you step awkwardly on a twig. Not enough to raise his alarm or anything, but there is kind of moments where he kind of curiously, like, kind of glances, does not spot you, and continue. I'm going to take 2. Each of you is going to take 1 minor wound, just representing the kind of exhaustion and push you're doing. Let me know if that pushes you to a dramatic, but I don't think either of you are there. Getting close again to number 2. Oh, Nikaletta, are you remembering to add the extra die to all of your dice pools because of your first dramatic wound?
Yes, 3 raises.
Okay.
I just rolled a 10.
So then you don't take that minor wound because you had enough to cover it. Yeah, the first dramatic wound just makes you better at everything. Remember that.
Thank you for reminding me because I rolled that third 10. That was cool.
And as you're going across, Arnau and Nikaletta, you both get to the wall and you're able to kind of, again, it would be very difficult if you were a large group of people charging, but you are able to kind of push your way through, and you are now on the other side of this wall, where he is sitting at a stump and you're behind him, and he has not moved or twigged to you or raised any kind of alarm. And you do see he seems to have a little bugle hanging at his side.
Oh, can I use this for my opportunity to try to snatch that from him?
Sure, you just go for a snatch.
I just want to grab the bugle so he can't alert anybody else.
Sure thing. That's not even particularly risky. You do know there is no way for you to do it without him noticing.
Shyster.
While she's doing that, Arnau's going to come up behind him and put the knife to his throat.
Okay.
Say, if you make a single sound, love, you're not moving again.
And he kind of glances down. Oh, okay.
Sorry about this. Thank you.
That was a sound, but I'm going to let it slip because I asked for it. Okay, so here's the deal. Do you like continuing to breathe? Good. So You're going to direct us back to the main center of the camp. Tell us where the kids you've been taking are going so we can release them. And point us in the direction of your leader so we can cut off the head of the snake. And if you do that, we'll take you back to see dry land again. That's not an island where you're starving.
He nods.
Do we have a deal?
How's he going to answer if you told him not to speak?
I'm asking you for this. You may speak.
Yes. Deal. Total deal.
Golden. Oh, and if you betray me, and he's gonna sort of, he would have a duelist pin, right?
Mm-hmm.
He would just flash the duelist pin. Know who you're dealing with.
And just white, like, like all the blood drapes from his face. He's as if death itself has come to find him, and he's just. Do you want? I have any kind of points down, and you see there's basically a machete hanging from his belt. He's not putting his hands anywhere near it. If you want to take that, I don't want a misunderstanding.
I think I've made my point clear enough. Besides, it's not like it would do you much good anyways.
Right. Okay. And he kind of stands up. The rest of you see this and see that this guy's clearly cowed and under control. So you're able to make your way across. You all came on a ship?
Yeah.
Indeed.
Okay. I didn't even want to do this. They had all the food and they said they'd kill me if I didn't.
I understand. I
Well
had
then.
a feeling.
Help us, and we will absolutely take you home with us.
Backstab us. And he like, holds out the axe like, it'll be the last thing you ever do.
Understood. Totally.
Like, this is a good thing. This is your moment of redemption. And I pass him hard on the shoulder and lead the way.
Okay. There are a few camps around. Folks were getting testy with each other, and so the captain put us in different groups where people tended to get along so there wouldn't be fighting. His is near the top of the mountain.
And the children.
He was very picky about which ones he would take. It was about height, and they stayed in his camp, but I wasn't allowed anywhere near them. It was mostly him and his officers.
Interesting. Is any of those officers here?
No, they never do the grunt work. They send down orders. They will lead raiding parties to make sure we weren't, withholding from them.
How many people are here? Is this just a wall, or are we at a camp?
No, this is not a camp. This is a wall.
This is a checkpoint.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, looks like we're going to be quite busy. The closest one?
Just about a mile this way. Follow me. And he starts heading in that direction, occasionally taking a glance back like, this is what you want me to do. I'm not going to get a knife in the back. I'm not going to get an axe in my neck. Like, just lead me along the way.
Mm-hmm.
We're not gonna put a knife in your neck, buddy. Not so long as you don't betray us.
As he's walking, he's like, I've been on this island for, I think, like 7 years now.
Where are you from?
Avalon.
Mm.
I have
That was your first mistake.
I have an uncle in Montaigne, not far from the capital, and I was going to visit him, and Captain said he knew a shortcut to help with the trade, and we hit the reefs. Pirates came about a year later. We were doing okay, and we figured eventually someone would come by. And then the pirates showed up and took what they wanted and kicked everyone else out of the camp we had, and we had to make do with flotsam and jetsam on the beach. They grabbed me.
You poor unfortunate soul.
Well,
They took me to the main camp first, but the captain said I wasn't right and sent me just for guard duty.
Mm.
well, I mean, the original captain was right. It did cut your trip short. It's not in the way that would have made it better, but your trip was shorter.
Well, I mean, when you really think about it, it still hasn't stopped. It was supposed to be a week, and it ended up being 7 years.
You're not on a boat anymore, though.
There is that.
But you're going to be on a boat again. And good news, we're going to Montaigne.
Honestly, I'd almost rather just go home, but Montaigne would be fantastic, and I can get passage. And
You don't want to go to Avalon. You don't want to go to Avalon, buddy. You want to keep with us. You want to keep going with us. We also need officers on our ship, so you can help out with that too.
I don't.
We will get you home. I assure you that. All right. Just keep being helpful. She's kind of like side-eyeing Arnau a little bit.
I also have a lot of money. I can pay you to be an officer on the ship quite well. How
As
much
we're
money
walking,
do you
there's
like?
a brief shoulder bump of like, shut up.
Yeah, it's been the captain warned us against going under the ocean. I didn't need much. I mean, obviously it's dangerous, and I couldn't swim anywhere. I don't even really know where in the ocean we are, but he said that we'd been marked. If we were ever out at sea again, the devil Jonah would claim his due.
That's a
Jonah?
The only one here who would have any context for this is maybe Asgeir. Think Davy Jones. Think the demon of the sea.
Yeah.
Think the one the bad sailors start praying to because they know where their souls are going. The evil god of pirates.
A shame you would pray to such scum.
Instead, he
But-
found a way to feed him and eventually get where he wanted to go, bring the ship he wanted, but
Well, perhaps the Allfather still has use for you.
okay.
It's very important. You remain honest. We're going to use you to determine who deserves forgiveness.
The folks at this first camp, all of us, and he suddenly collapses to his knees. We were part of the raids. They would have killed us if we weren't. We didn't kill people, but we took.
Like I said, this is a moment of redemption. They
Panache
can
to
choose to
convince.
follow your path, or it ends here.
Panache and convince, please, Demetrius.
Of course.
Feel so bad for this poor guy.
Right?
I'm trying to.
We're trying to save your life, buddy.
Yeah, it's clear to all of you that this is a guy. He is not innocent. He was press ganged, but it's also he's done things to survive that he's not proud of, and he's kind of dealing with all of that.
Yeah.
How many raises did we get?
2.
2. He takes a deep breath. I will help you, and I'll do my best. They deserve it. I don't know if I deserve any kind of redemption. Maybe the devil Jonas might do, but I will do what I can to help you. And he stands back up, pulls out the machete, not in a threatening way to any of you, and you see him kind of take on a walk that some of you recognize, the walk of someone who's carrying a weapon so that everyone around knows that he will use it if they make him. And it's something you often see in prisons and stuff like that. Just the I am not weak, and don't you dare think that I am.
Let's go.
As he leads you all towards this first encampment. It's better than the village down below, but not by a great deal. It's clear these are kind of folks who had not earned the full trust of those higher up. And he walks in. He looks at you all. Pretty much everyone here is similar to me. They did what they had to do to survive. We got what food and stuff were left over.
Then we can talk. Well, gesture to Asgeir.
He leads you all, and he's like, do you want me to talk to them?
I think that might be best, but not that we should necessarily do what I say. Just suggestion.
Hi. If anyone has suggestions, I'm all up for it. I just put my hand on his shoulder. Lead the way. I will go with you.
He walks in. Hey, lads. The ship has come. And they found us first. And the guys kind of look around. Some of them have clubs. Some of them have machetes. None are looking in particularly good shape. All better fed and dressed than anyone from the village, but again, not great.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, they didn't kill me. They want to save the kids and kill the captain. And if you ask me, that bastard deserves it. And maybe if we can help them do that, and maybe we won't. And they all kind of look at each other. Does anyone have anything to add to that?
How many of you wish to be free from this prison? From this forsaken island that you've been stuck on for so many years?
You terrorized the survivors. You can be redeemed. You can do right.
We already got your role. I'm going to carry on your role that you gave to convince him, Demetrius. Arnau, panache and tempt based on the tone that you put into that.
Lovely. Almost like that's the skill I'm working on increasing. Maybe. Who knows? Guess that means I need 7 dice here. Does anybody want?
Remember, you can re-roll your low. If you have 3 or higher in a skill, you can re-roll your lowest die.
Mhm.
Oh, shit.
You know
I
what?
forgot about that.
I'm gonna spend a hero point to give myself an extra die
Okay.
because
We're
I
still
have a
in the
lot.
scene. We're still in the scene from before, so the threshold remains 15.
That's why I spent that extra die. Okay, so that is 2 10s, so that's 2 raises already. Okay, so I get to re-roll my lowest die, so that 1 gets to get re-rolled. And it became a 1, so it doesn't matter at all. 11, 15. So that's 3 raises.
3 raises. They look around. And everyone's kind of looking at each other like, where's the dam going to break first? And you all kind of get the impression that if one of them suddenly attacks all of you, everyone will go with them. If one of them joins all of you, one of them will go with them. It's on that kind of a balance point. And this one, actually, Asgeir and Arnau would both easily recognize someone from Vestin Manavinir. He'd stand up. And whereas most of the folks here are young to the point of this is why they're probably why they weren't able to push their way higher up. This one is old to the point. Like, he's not decrepit. There's a reason he was brought in, but it's clear this is a much older man. And he kind of stands up. Not gonna lie, but if I'm gonna cross the 7th sea tonight, I'd rather go before Allfather than fought the captain and fighting for those who would serve him. I'm done being a slave to Jonah. And he kind of hoists his club over his shoulder, and the others kind of nod. You all now have a brute squad of 10 that is working for you. Their allegiance is meh. So if they take 2 great losses all at once, then they'll probably try to run. But for now, they're definitely on your side.
Cool.
So now the plan is to attack the captain.
I believe we have 2 other camps before the captain.
Yeah, the one you captured goes. Yes, this is the lowest camp. The middle camp is probably another mile that way, and they definitely get more food. They're more enthusiastic. When the intention was to take a child, they were the ones who were sent.
Delightful. We don't need to have another speech.
So, do you know anything about the layout of the camp that we're moving into? Any particular leaders there?
They follow the orders of the officers, and the officers come down from the topmost camp. However, Rylan tends to lead them when there's no one else there to give the commands.
Myself and Nikaletta can sneak in, take his head, use him as an example. The rest will be cowed. We execute them one by one.
Oh, Anna, I do so enjoy your idea of a plan, but I have one of my own. She's just kind of swinging the bag around.
And Demetrius gets lean in. Not for nothing, but what if it turns them all into horrible vampires?
This is why we kind of toss and run.
Also, it's a very sunny day.
I'm morbidly curious.
This feels like a bad idea.
This feels like an evil decision. I mean, I
So
know.
who is stealing children? How would you not consider that evil?
Oh no!
Why would you not want to take that out of the world?
Killing them, well, of course, killing. But I just, what if we're fighting now vampires?
Didn't we just get on Arnau's case about doing something like this? And now you want to try and weaponize it when we don't even really know how much it's going to affect everything?
Look, the most that I imagine it's going to do is it's going to grow a rose bush around whoever I toss it at, and probably drain him dry. Which, if we're going to take his head, then we're going to kill him anyway. And what is the point in arguing about how it's done?
It's more the potential of fighting a vampire undead.
Well, if it was going to turn anyone into a vampire, I imagine it would have gotten me. But as it stands, my hand is just cold.
You should probably eat a cookie, by the way. That's probably would be something.
Ugh,
Next time we
sip it, everybody says sugar.
Have a Snickers, Nikaletta. You start turning into it. You start making undead when you're hungry.
I don't enjoy the idea of a child stealing pirate. The notion is offensive.
I don't either, which is why I was thinking we save the rose for the captain, because that seems like a very painful way to go.
Oh, I wasn't paying attention. I thought this is what we were talking about. Okay, never mind.
No, this is just this is just ahead of the next camp that I'm saying we kill him. If he's the leader, then they'll all freak out because all of a sudden he's dead. They'll have no one to sort of lead them at that point, and then the rest of the brute squad comes in and wipes out the rest of them while they're in shock.
Ah, since that was a misunderstanding on Kelsey's part, not Nicaletta's. My bad.
All right.
Good luck.
Start making your way towards the camp. And as you're going, the various men start warning that there are probably traps along the path this way. That the officers, the folks further up the mountain, did not like the folks lower on the mountain moving in that direction. And even talk about sometimes that they would even be blindfolded if the captain wanted to talk to one of them. So they weren't able to see many of the defenses on the way up. But they're all in a move. And as they're talking to each other, it's almost like they're starting to come out from under some sort of spell. Like, occasionally one will like shake their head and be like, and get really into what they're doing. And it's just like, and you can't tell if it's actual magic or just if they've been going with the flow for so long. And now that they have an opportunity to meaningfully resist, that it's just like refreshing them. Demetrius, you have seen mercenaries who look like this. They tend not to survive battles.
Yeah, they're all gonna die.
Yeah,
I'm gonna fight with them, definitely. Not gonna just send them into the slaughter. I will, Have you ever heard of the great swordsmanship of Demetrius Penn?
one of them looks up.
Demetrius Penn, the greatest mercenary ever.
You from Verity, right?
Of course.
You're the reason my mother left me there.
Oh!
This is
Hold
a very
on.
young one.
Wait, how old are you?
It's hard to keep track around. 22.
Okay, we're good.
Like very closely investigating the nose, the features in general. Like,
Do me a favor. And I put my arm around and do me a favor. When you get back home, write a letter to your father.
my God.
Just to remind him.
Oh, that you saved me. Oh, yeah, that'll piss him off.
Oh, it would be amazing. Also, where's your mother?
What?
Don't worry. We move on.
He mentions her name. It rings no bells.
Yeah. Oh, it sounds like a Wednesday. All right.
Everybody's jaws stayed in place.
Continue moving and working your way up. And then you start, and then finally you see the second. It is clear this one is better off than the one below. It's got good fortifications, several guards, who seem to be fairly attentively. It seems the lower camp was the threat they were actually worried about, not the settlement down on the beach. None of them have marked you yet, and the brutes are all waiting on your word. What is the approach?
Nikaletta and
Arnau.
Arnau sneaking in.
All right.
Yeah,
Then both of you give me finesse and hide, or wait, finesse and hide or wits and hide.
just
You both have to do the same thing.
just give us a signal when you want us to charge.
I'll do wits because I haven't used that yet. Wits and hide.
Wits would be lovely.
Okay. It's the difference between, are you like being super, is it like Skyrim sneaking where it's all about your dexterity or is it like paying attention to where they're looking and moving around? So
Are we Skyrim sneaking or Metal Gear Solid sneaking?
I'm definitely cracking open a cardboard box.
with a hula girl painted on it.
Are we still 15? Is that still
Yep.
our
Still 15s.
threshold? So I rolled 110.
And then I have
So-
dramatic, so I get an extra die.
And that's 2 raises.
As you all are preparing for this, I'm spending another villain point. And then there's another earthquake. This one much more pronounced. And you see all the brutes just kind of get next to trees or whatever, something solid and rooted as they wait for it to pass.
2.
2.
2.
And Arnau? 3.
2.
2. The earthquake is a boon at first. You're able to move along. Some of the dirt has been loosened, so there's a chance there's still some slipping and stuff like that. So it's another minor to both of you as you're moving through. However, you're getting closer and closer to the wall. You are now at the first barrier wall.
Okay.
And you do not think you're going to be able to get any closer without at least one of the guards spotting you, unless you have a way to take them down quietly. What is the approach?
Well, Arnau, you are the strategist here.
Indeed, I am. Just boom, 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 full vesting.
So up both daggers in and pull him down over the wall.
Uh-huh.
Assassin strike. All right. That's going to be a finesse and weaponry from you. And I'm going to do it against his finesse.
Okay, so that is, because this is the first time I'm doing my finesse and weaponry, so it's 7 dice for me. Woo! I rolled 2 10s again. That's
Nice.
2 already. Okay, so and then that's
See how ruined that would be if turning it to 15s meant that a 10 on your die was not a raise. It would just feel bad.
yeah, it really would. It makes it feel better, honestly, when when 10s are just straight raises.
When you can
Okay.
say screw you with your raised threshold.
3 only. It
3
would
only.
be 4, but you had to go ahead and do the
And, well, you gave me that nice villain point. I didn't want to put it to waste. He only got 1 raise. So you are able, going up, both of your swords come in and you pull him down over the wall. He's now on the ground in front of you in a considerable amount of pain.
cover his throat, slash. Or
Mhm.
like cover his mouth, slash.
Might I recommend knocking him out with a punch? Just for the
Okay.
flavor of and not playing the corruption game on just a guard.
That's better. So
Okay.
that's true. He come down. Actually, it's not with a punch. It's with the hilt of his
Mhm.
the hilt of his blade, just
Yeah.
right there in the temple.
He's out. And bleeding heavily. Yes, you have probably killed him, but again, swashbuckling. Swashbuckling.
People get stabbed all the time. It's fine.
Yeah, and you're there, and you got him, and he's unconscious and bleeding heavily. And now, you're pretty sure, Nikaletta, that you could squeeze between some of the logs in this wall and get to the second guard.
I will do that then. And this one is just outright, oh, I'm sorry, whack, to the back of the head.
Okay. And he's like looking at something and goes to look over. Hey, where did the other...
Sorry.
That's cool.
The way forward is now clear.
And so at this point, because the two guards have been taken down, Arnau's going to sort of gesture to the brute squad to sort of filter in towards the center of the town, because basically at this point, now with the guards taken down, the alarm's not going to go up when they rush in, and it's going to be a bloodbath because they're not going to have time to get prepped.
All right. We are now moving into combat. They have 3 brute squads of 9 each. But they are going to not go at all in this first round because they're being taken by super weapons. So, everyone, give me your approaches in combat.
All right, well, Asgeir, finally, like, I'm done with the sneaking, there's a brute squad throwing himself at them.
All right.
And he's going to use Into the Fray, which automatically eliminates them because I'm using my two-handed axe.
All right.
And because he is throwing himself headlong into danger, uses a quirk to get a hero point.
Okay. Into the Fray, is that the one that so you take
may
an
eliminate
entire brute
any brute
cost?
squad with a two-handed weapon at the start of a round, as long as I don't roll dice.
Okay. All right. Cool. So so this is before anything even starts. All of a sudden, Asgeir is just in the camp. Nikaletta, Arnau, neither of you saw his approach, but all of a sudden he is just there and is like a dervish of death as that axe just is moving and slowing down an entire group. An entire brute squad is just down.
Bye-bye.
Alastriona.
Well, just like tried and true method has been, just getting her sword out, throwing it in a circle, and just kind of heading for people.
An Innish blender of death.
Yes. Ooh, I like that. The Innish blender of death.
Finesse and weaponry. Or brawn, whichever you prefer.
I think that's
As-
cool.
As these two are making their way through the camp like this, Nicoletta's just, oh.
Is Nikaletta taking part in the fighting?
Not in any meaningful way. If somebody happens to wander her way, it's a boop.
All right,
But-
finesse and weaponry, or finesse and
Oh, dear.
aim if he's doing ranged things like with knives.
Boy.
Arnau?
So Arnau was given the name for the leader, so he's basically scanning to
Mhm.
see if he can find the one who looks like the leader, how he was described to him. And the moment he picks that person out, he's going straight for them to try
Okay.
and, because he's a duelist. He doesn't do brute squads like this. He's
Yeah,
like
you're seeking out Rylan.
yeah. I'm
And you're
seeking
pretty
out-
sure you see one. There's a guy who seems better armed than everyone else, and also a bit more attentive than everyone else. Has the look of a guy who runs not because he's been given authority, but because he has charisma to run this group when none of the officers are there. So that's going to be your primary weaponry roll, brawn or finesse, whichever he prefers, as you go into a dueling mode with him. Demetrius.
I'm going to charge into one of the other brute squads, and with the brute squad.
Okay. So if you would like, you can either go in with your finesse and weaponry to just be fighting as one of the brute squads, or if you want to give me a panache and we'll call it warfare roll, you can lead them as a commander.
God, I wish I put more points into warfare. But I think
That's next time.
My dice are going to betray me.
yeah.
They are rolling so well for me. This is going to be so bad a little
This is
later on
horrible.
in the session.
This is the first group. These are minis. These are mini bosses. Best.
These are mini bosses. We're gonna die. I'm gonna be rolling all ones.
No. And then instead of going in with them, I look over at the 22-something-year-old and I was like, remember, when you talk to your father, tell him about the great skill of Demetrius Penn. And I reach into and pull out daggers and I charge in and I'm just flinging daggers at people's shoulders, taking it out, popping them, and just kind of using my throwing daggers to take the guys out.
Cool. Finesse and aim. All right. Let's see so Asgeir does not roll. 3 raises for you in combat. Alastriona 3. Nikaletta 2.
Finesse. 4 for finesse, 3 for aim, 1 for this flare, and 1 for the guy.
So everyone can see my crazy. At this point, I'm
It's
just
15,
gonna
right?
Yeah.
start posting all my rolls. Because at this point, if my rolls keep being crazy like this is insane.
Good God, man.
Turns out you're just meant to play 7th Sea. The vampire's been your problem this whole time.
Look, sometimes my rolls are great in Vampire too, and then they turn around, and then all of a sudden I'm rolling messy crit after messy crit, or bestial fail after bestial fail, and there's nothing stopping me for a whole two sessions. So this
Father, we wish to critical. We don't care what kind.
I crit the crit.
3.
This would have been a messy critical under Vampire though.
Yeah.
Because one was my blood die.
All right, so 2, 3, 3. All right, so Asgeir has taken down one of the groups of 9. There are 18 remaining. Another 8 go down at the hands of Alastriona, Demetrius, and Nikaletta, who all of them are just fighting with, I'm going to say, some pretty intense fury. These are the ones who were taking kids under orders, but still these are the kid snatchers. And another 8 go. And then the brute squads come together and they just clash into each other. And you can see hatred on the part of the group from the lower camp. They've been pushed around, they've been beaten, they've been bruised, and they just go through, and it is devastating as they are cutting and slashing and just smashing. And you see 5 of that last 8, that last brute squad, go down, and you can see folks just continuing to hit them over and over and over and over, like they're dead, like heads are pulped, and they're still just swinging, just roaring in almost this bestial angle. On Arnau, with your raises, you see as this Rylan comes out, he's just trying to figure out what's going on, and he sees you, and he raises up his blade and goes, Jones will feast on you tonight, Jonah. And he'll run in. Jonah is what he would say, not Jones. That was me remembering the real world equivalent. So, what's your first move, Arnau?
So we're gonna do some great stuff here. Since I have 3 raises, I can do 3. That means I can do 3 actions, right? With the dueling things.
Yeah.
Slash, crash, slash.
All right.
full damage.
He is coming at you, and that's great because that'll handle this pretty quickly. He is not a duelist. He's the best swordsman from this group, but he does not have access to the sweet moves. He's trying to hold you off, and you all watch. Like to this point, most of these fights have been Verity's. She's been the one who's gotten him slowed off, whereas Arnau has kind of hung back and kind of read things. You watch Arnau take this guy apart. Chandler, go ahead and describe how Rylan dies on your blade in as anime a way as you wish.
So he comes in. Arnau at first, because I'm assuming he was sort of letting Rylan sort of lead with the first assault. So it's coming in. He's got his blade. Arnau, it doesn't even come close. Arnau just cuts his hand off with the first slash. So at this point, his hand's already there. Rylan screams for a moment, and then the blade comes down, and his legs are swept out from under him with his second blade, and then Arnau's axe that he uses comes down, and his head just comes off as it comes down. As he hits the ground and the axe comes down, basically guiding him down until both the axe and him stop in the ground, and his head just rolls.
The remaining 4 of the brute squad see Rylan down, and they look up, and they drop their weapons as they're backing up because they've just gotten completely overwhelmed. It's clear the brute squad you all brought doesn't give a shit. Do you all interfere as the lower camp wipes out what's left of the middle?
So I'm understanding it. The brute squad is about to just murk.
Yeah, the lower camp is going to finish the job.
I would. Demetrius Penn would kind of stand in front of the brute squad, and this is a crossroads. You can be better. Right now, they have surrendered. Leave them to their prison. Don't taint your soul again.
The brute squad looks at you. Give me panache and convince. And there are risks here. These guys want those guys dead.
Of course they do. God, I really wish it wasn't 15 still.
The urge to oppose and just whisper in some of their ears, just being like,
No.
Stop it.
This one.
I should have given you it before you rolled.
The one that you all captured first. He listens to you. He takes a deep breath and puts the sword up. But the others just kind of swarm around. Does your attempt to stop them come to physically stopping them, or does it just you made your pitch and then?
Nope, they're not going to stop them. They made their their call.
They go in and they do it, but he looks at you and says, "Thank you. I'm done being a monster." And there's a moment of calm. You all know the upper camp still remains, and whatever has to be found there. Any children, if they're still held up there, need to be found. And there's a second while everyone is catching their breath. But as you're just kind of looking around, seeing if there's any weapons, any kind of surprises, anyone hiding to finish off. And then one of the better made huts up here has been made primarily with wood that looks like it was pulled off of ships that had various hulls and stuff like that. And as you were glancing over, you see that one of those ships has a name painted on it. The Stormcaller.
Yep, nope, that's all he needs. He rushes that hut.
Jesus.
You rush into the hut. It's empty. It looks like everyone in there died in the battle. But you did see the remnants of the ship on which your daughter was sailing. And she vanished all those years ago. And with that, we are going to bring this session to a close. Thank you so much to Basics of the Game for hosting us. Thanks to Jeremiah and Katie for producing for us. We will see you all next time, and keep playing games.